In this video, we're going to go through on PSLE 2017, paper 1. So if you want to go and get your free PSLE 10-year series, you can go to easy1.sg/PSLE. So let's get started on the first question. Question number 1, which of the following numbers is the smallest? Okay, so over here we have there are four numbers. So the smallest is this is 0.1, okay, and then 0.01 and 0.001. Okay, so if you were to compare, right, which one is the smallest? Okay, the smallest is 0.01, second smallest is 0.10, and third smallest is 0.100. Okay, so in this case, we always want to look for if there are zeros more on the left. Okay, so we can ignore option 2 and 4, 0.504 and 0.405. Okay, so then we go to option number 3, 0.54 and 0.045. Okay, so which one is smaller? Smallest? The answer to this question should be option number 3, 0.045. So first check if if the number starts at the longest or furthest decimal place. So example 2 decimal place number is smaller than 1 decimal place number. Okay, so example number starts at 2 decimal place is smaller than number starts at 1 decimal place. Okay, all right, then from there you just from there option 2 and 4 starts at 1 decimal place, which means they are not the smallest. Okay, then for option 1, which is option 1 and 2 start at 2 decimal place, okay, which means they are smaller, right? So 0.054 versus 0.045, the smaller number is 0.045. Okay, there you go. So that is the answer lah. Okay, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, question number 2. Which of the two lines are perpendicular to each other over here? Okay, so in this case, I think pretty straightforward, but what you can do is you can use two rulers. So I'm going to have one ruler, okay, and let me put in my handy dandy ruler, okay. So maybe I might get a purple ruler, okay. So what you can do is you can slide two rulers or any straight line stuff together. Okay, so you have this ruler and you have another ruler as such, like this. Okay, so make sure they sit on top of one another, and then once you have a line that you want to compare, make sure you have your ruler stick to this part, this line that you want to compare, right? And then have another ruler to put it just at the point of where there is this corner, right? So now with that, you can just slide the ruler from left to right. Okay, and DE and this whole ABBC is not parallel to each other. Okay, so then the next part is we can try AE. Okay, so AE, same thing. Then once you've aligned your ruler with the line that you want to compare, AE with other stuff, then you have the other ruler. Doesn't matter actually if you want to put it anywhere else, then you can align like this. And now with AE, right, like this, right, AE, you can just move up and down, and you can see there's no line that is parallel. So the last one is BE with what? Okay, so let's see BE. So now we have BE that's aligned. Then after that you have another ruler that we're going to put it on the shorter side of the ruler, and now we just move left to right. So you can see BE is aligned to, in this case, CD, right over here. So BE and CD are parallel to each other. There you go. So that's the answer. Okay. So just use a ruler for this. Okay, I'm gonna delete this. So in this case, the answer is BE and CD. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 3. How much water is in the container shown? Okay, so in this case over here, okay, let's zoom this in. All right, so we want to find out how many gaps before 1 liter. So first, 1 liter is equal to how many milliliters, right? 1000. So 1 times 1000 milliliters equal to 1000 milliliters. Next part is we want to know how many gaps before 1 liter. Okay, so in this case over here, let's put blue because it's the water color. So we could put 1. And then after that, we could put 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So there are 10 gaps in this. So over here, we have 10 gaps before 1 liter. So 10 gaps is equal to 1000 milliliters. So 1 gap is equal to how many milliliters? So 1000 divided by 10, this will give us 100 milliliters. So now, how many gaps do we have in the water? So we have 1, 2, and 3. So 3 gaps is equal to 3 times 100 milliliters, which is equal to 300 ml. So the answer to this question is option number 4. Okay, there you go. So that's the answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 4. Okay, so in the figure, ABCD is a rectangle. AEB and BFC are straight lines. DEF is 92 degrees and BFE is 48 degrees. Find AED. Okay, so in the figure, this is a whole rectangle. We want to find this angle. So I'm going to draw it out. Okay, make it red. So this is what we are looking for. So in order for us to get this angle, what other angles do we need in order for us to get this red angle over here? So we know that we have the 92 degrees, but we also know that we also need to have this angle. Because why is that so? Because one straight line is 180. So this whole big one is 180 degrees over here. Okay? So if we have this 180 degrees minus 92 degrees minus the blue color angle over here, which is BEF, then we are able to get the red angle, which is AED. So how do we get this blue angle? So to get this blue angle, what we need to do is we need to get the other angle. And what is this angle over here? Okay, so if you read the question, this whole thing ABCD is a rectangle. So instead of an angle, we already know that this is a right angle. That's what we see over here. Okay, let me put it in black. So this is a right angle. So that means we can actually get the angle here, BEF. So let's write it down. Angle BEF is equal to 180 minus 90 minus 48. Okay, so if you know 180 minus 90 is 90, so 90 minus 48, which is 42 degrees. That's what you see over here. Okay, so now we know that the angle, the blue color angle, 42 degrees. Okay, I'm going to put it here, just above it. Okay, so now we know that blue angle is 42. Now we know what's the red angle, or angle AED, which is equal to 180 minus 92 minus 42. So we can break this down. Okay, so usually what I like to do is, okay, in this manner, right? You can also, or you can just manually calculate. So what I'm going to do is 180 minus 92. So essentially this will be 88 minus 42. Then this will become 46 degrees. Okay, there you go. So that's the answer. Option number 4. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. Okay, so what is 30 plus 3 out of 10 plus 3 out of 100? Okay, so let's break it down. 3 out of 10 is basically 3 divided by 10, which is equal to 0.3. Okay, so if you remember, 1 divided by 10 is equal to 1. Sorry, 1 out of 10 is the same as 1 divided by 10, which is 0.1. So 3 out of 10 is the same. So what about 3 out of 100? 3 out of 100 is equal to 3 divided by 100. So this will be 0.03. Okay, so that means we move 2 decimal places down according to the number of zeros. Same goes to divided by 10, one decimal place down. Okay, so that means we just put a dot and just put 0 at the start. Same goes with this as well. Okay, so now we know the decimal places for this uh, two fractions, which is over here. So what we want to do is I'm gonna have this, and this will be equal to 30 plus 0.3 plus 0.03. Okay, so let's add these two up, and this will equal to 30 plus 0.33, and this will be 30.33. So 30.33 is 2. All right, and that's it. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. How many chairs did the shop sell in April? Okay, let's look into the graph over here, right? So in this graph, let's look at the number of gaps before the first number. So in this case, the first, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's 5 gaps equal to 20. So one gap is equal to 20 divided by 5, and this will be equal to 4. So now we know how many how many chairs did the shop sell in April. So we can just count, this will be 20, and then we can count how many gaps, 1, 2, and 3. So in this case, there will be 3 gaps is equal to 3 times 4 equal to 12. Okay, and then April is basically, right, 20 plus 12, which is 32. Okay, the answer is 32, which is option number 4. There you go. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 7. The number of chairs sold in August was 80% increase from the number sold in July. How many chairs were sold in August? Okay, so we can look at July, and July correspond to nicely on 20 over here. Ba-da, ba, ba-da. Okay, that's what I see over here. So in this case, we can write down that July is equal to 20. So in this case, it says here August was an 80% increase from the number sold in July. So that means August is equal to July plus 80%, right? So that means, so what does this mean, right? So July over here is also 100%, okay, for July in this case over here. All right, so July is 100%. So we need to know what is 80%. So we can just put as 10%, right? Divided by 10, okay, which is 20 divided by 10, which is 2. Now, what is 80%? So 80% is equal to 2 times 8 equal to 16. So since we know, since we know what's July and we want to know what's 80%, so August, all right, is equal to 20 plus 80% is actually 16. And the answer is 36, which is option number 4 in this case over here. There you go. So that's the answer. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 8. Chandra paid $10 for 20 erasers. How much did each eraser cost? So we know that 20 erasers are equal to $10. But what is $10 actually? All right, so $10, all right, is equal to how many cents? Okay, how many cents? So if you guess 100 cents, you're almost there. So 100 cents, right, is $1. Okay, so you're almost there. So what about $10? So $10 is 10 times 100 cents, which is equal to 1000 cents. Oops, where's my science? Okay, so now we know that $10 is 1000 cents. So 20 erasers is 1000. What about one eraser? which is equal to 1000 divided by 20, which is equal to, we cancel the zeros, so 1 zeros, 100 divided by 2, which is 50 cents over here. Okay, there you go. So the answer is 50 cents. All right, let's move on to question number 9. Arrange the following from the heaviest to the lightest: 4.25 kg, 4 kg, 55 grams, and 4 1/3 kilograms. Okay, so easiest is convert everything to kg and g, right? Kilograms and grams. Okay, so for 4.25 kilograms is equal to, so in this we know that 1 kilogram is equal to 1000 grams. So what about 0.1 kilogram is equal to 1000 divided by 10, which is 100 grams. So 0.25 kilograms is equal to 100 times 25, equal to, oops, 2500. So you just put two zeros at the end. So 4.25 kg is basically 4. So 4 times 1000 plus 2. Oh, sorry, 250, 100. Oh, okay. So 1 is to from. Okay. So my bad on this. The calculation is wrong. Huh? So if you know there's a colors mistake, very good. Okay. So 0.01. Okay, it's basically 100 divided by 10, which is 10 over here. Okay, so 0.25 is basically 0.01 times 25, which is 250 grams. So 250 go to 4 kilograms and 250 grams. Yes, 425. So we want to convert everything to grams instead. So it's easier lah. Okay, so this 4.25. Okay, what about 4 kg? 55 grams is equal to 4 times 1000 plus 55, which is equal to 4055 grams. Okay, and last one, what is 1/3 kilogram? Okay, so in this case, this is where the hard part is. But if you have if you just divide, right, so 1/3 gram is basically 1000 times 1/3, which is the same as 1000 divided by 3. Okay, and in this case, if you were to calculate, it's basically 333.33 and then dot 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 dot. Okay, so we're gonna round this up to, let me put a curly brackets to this. Okay, and we're just gonna round this up to 333 grams. Okay, so in this case, 4 1/3 kilogram is equal to, same thing, 4000. Okay, plus 333 equal to 4333 grams. So now which one is the heaviest? I think it's pretty obvious. Is 4 1/3 kilogram. And which one is the lightest? Okay, lightest. Okay, in this case is the 4 kilograms 55 grams. That's what I see over here. So from heaviest, so the heaviest must be on the left. So 4 1/3, which is option 1 and 2. Then the lightest 4 kilograms on the right. So it's 4 kilograms 55 grams. There you go. So that's the answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 10. The shaded figure is a semicircle of diameter 20 centimeters. What is the parameter of shaded figure? Take pi as 3.14. Okay, so what we want is to get the parameter of a semicircle. So we know that the parameter of a circle, a full circle, okay, I'm gonna put here, is basically 2 and then pi r, okay, or equal to 2d, or pi d, sorry, pi d, right? Pi diameter. Okay, so in this case, we have the diameter of 20 centimeters. So what about the parameter of a semicircle? So it's half, right? Semicircle is basically pi d and then divided by 2. Okay, so essentially for the parameter of semicircle, now we know the pi, which is in this case 3.14. So I'm going to put here 3.14 and then multiply by diameter, which is 20, and then divided by 2. Okay, so 20 divided by 2 is 10, so 3.14 times 10, which is equal to 31.4. Okay, so yeah, let me just put here, let's R be radius of circle, and let circle, okay, and let D be radius of circle, okay, diameter. Diameter. Okay, so now we know that the perimeter of a semicircle is 31.4. Okay, but it doesn't include the line over here. So if you put 31.4, say, yeah, yeah, correct. No, no, no. 31.4, right? It's only the outline without the diameter. Okay, so you have to be careful. So the actual figure, right, is equal to 31.4 plus 20, which is 51.4 centimeters. Okay, so it's option number 2. All right, let's move on to the next question. So before we go to the next question, I just want to highlight this part. Oops. All right, question 11. Devi has tiles in the shape of a rhombuses of side 3 centimeters. She placed them in a row to form a parallelogram of perimeter 186 centimeters. How many tiles did Devi use? Okay, so first thing first, right? What is the property of rhombus? So rhombuses our rhombus have equal length sides. So what do I mean by that? So if I were to just put this here, I give an arrow like this. Okay, so this is 3 centimeters. Okay, look at this, look at this. Okay, and then we do the same over here. This is also 3 centimeters, and then we also do this 3 centimeters, and we also know that this inner one is also 3 centimeters. That's what you see over here. Okay, so now we know that all the sides are equal length. The next thing is we want to know how many tiles, right? So in order for us to know this number of tiles, what we need is we need to have to know that this whole parallelogram is at the end has 3 centimeters on each side, right? The left side and the right side. So I'm gonna highlight this as red. Okay, so highlight this as red. So now the only thing that we care about is this blue part. Okay, this blue part and this blue part. So one, so we can minus 186. So minus the 3 and 3. Okay, from left to right, and this will be equal to 180, right, centimeters. So now we know that with this tile, so one tile is 6 centimeters. So one tile is equal to 3 plus 3, which is equal to 6 centimeters. So then number, right, number of tiles is equal to 180 divided by 6, right? Because we minus, right, 180 centimeters. So 180 divided by 6 is equal to 30 in this case over here. So the answer to this question is 30 rhombuses to create a perimeter of 160 centimeters. All right, there you go. All right, let's move on to question number 12. Two figures P and Q are shown in the square grid below. Which of the following statements? Question number 12. Two figures P and Q are shown in the square grid below. Which of the following statement is true? A, angle X, right? Angle X over here is equal to angle Y. Okay. B, figure P has the same area as figure Q. And lastly, figure P has the same parameter as figure Q. So let's start with this first part. Is angle X equal to angle Y? Okay, so what you can do is you can use your protractor to actually measure. Okay, so in this case over here for angle X, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure through the protractor from this side So you see over here. Okay, so you can see from angle X, this is a rough calculation, but this is around. If you twist your head, this is actually, you see that this line over here, which is 70.5. So I'm going to write down here angle X is equal to 75 degrees. Okay, so next one, let's do for uh, figure P over here. Sorry, figure Q. So not figure Q, sorry, angle Y. So angle Y, right? If you were to write here, angle Y, what is it equal to? So angle Y, you see that it's very close to 50, but it's 50 plus. So it's, in this case, 51, 52. So in this case, it's 52 degrees, right? That's what we see over here. So therefore, for option number one, angle X is not equal to angle Y. Okay, so this is false. Okay, let's move to the second statement. B, figure P has the same area as figure Q. All right, so over here, let's go to figure P. How do we measure the area for this kind of figure? So first thing is we want to draw where the whole outline is, right? So this one whole box around figure P, okay, and we can just measure accordingly. So with this, we can measure with using arrows that this over here is four, let me write here, four squares, and then this whole area, not area, this whole length, 1 2 3 4 5, is 5. So you see over here. Okay, so now we know this length, so let's box it up again for this side. So this is 1 2 3, and we have 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 5 6. We have 6. So this is 3, and this is 6. Okay, so we see over here, right? So let's just move this whole thing, right, like this. And let's move this whole thing like this as well. So I'm going to put the 3 over here. So I'm going to draw the arrow 3, and this is 6, right? Okay, so why do we need to do this, right? Is because inside uh, each of this figure, there are triangles. So if I were to draw them out a little bit, so the triangles are this, triangles are this, triangles are this, and triangles are this. That's what we see over here, right? Okay, so what we can do is we can measure the two, what do you call this, the triangles, right? So the thing is that if you were to look closely, so with my arrows over here, let me make the measurement correct as what we see over here, right? Okay, so this here is, let me put here 3, and this one is 2, right? And then if you were to look at the opposite of, diagonally opposite, right, is actually the same. So this, oops, this over here is 2, and okay, and this is 3. So that means this 3, and this is 2. That's what we see over here, right? 3 and 2. Okay, then we do the same with the other, what do you call this, triangle over here as well. So let me point an arrow. So this little one is 1, and this little one is 3. Okay, so I can put here 1 over here and 3 over here. Okay, so in essence, we can actually find the area of P, right? So area of P, because these are the same as well, is, okay, we put here as 3, and we put here as 1. So we can actually copy everything here, right? And paste it over here. Okay, I can delete this, put the arrow over here as well. Okay, 1 is here and 3 is over here. Okay, so now with this area of P, is equal to, in this case, 4 times 5, right? And then we minus, so the black box, right? Or just right, 4 times 5, which is the black box, and then we minus the whole thing, right? 4 times 5 minus 2 times bracket 2, or basically it's the same as 2 times bracket half times 2 times 3 minus 2 times bracket half times 1 times 3. Okay, so essentially, right, for area P, since we multiply the half, it's actually the same. So this will be 20 minus. So this will be just be 2 times 3 minus 1 times 3. Okay, which is 20 minus 6 minus 3 equal to 3, 11, area of P. So I see over here. So P is 11. What about Q? Okay, so Q, roughly the same way of how we measure. So in this case, let me put the measurements down. So you can see Q over here, right? In the, sorry, area of Q, not area of P. Area of Q, they actually have the same triangle surrounding it. But the difference is that the box that we surrounded with the black outline is actually 6 times 3. So we just minus what we have minus earlier, which is minus 6 and minus 3, because they are exactly the same, right? So it's 2 and 3 on both sides and 1 and 3 on both sides as well. All right. So in this case, 6 times 3 minus 6 minus 3. And what will this be? So this is 18 minus 6 minus 3. Okay. And in this case will be 9. Okay. So in this case, area P is 11, area Q is 9. So that means area QN is not equal to area P. Honestly, from here, you already know the answer. Okay, from deduction, right? C is true. Okay, because AB is not true, right? So C is true. But let's also go through C. But essentially, right, if you want to, okay, for C explanation, right, we can deduce that for a triangle that has the side 2 and 3, the slanted side will be the same, correct? So same goes with this as well, right? So for C explanation, right, um if the base and height is the same, that means the slanted slanted line length highlighted in what color? Highlighted, past tense, highlighted lighted in let's do green. So let's do this. So in here, the slanted line, right, is the same, correct or not? Okay, so this is the same. So this is also the same in this case over here. And this is the same over here as well. Right, so if the base and height is the same, that means the slanted line length highlighted in green is the same, right? So example, triangle with base 2 and height 3 has the same slanted line with height 3 and base 2. Okay, so same, right? So that means from this, we since we have the same triangles surrounding the figures, that means the slanted lines are the same. Therefore, the parameter of P and Q are the same as well. All right, so I'm not a big fan of this kind of questions, but essentially that's it lah. So that's how I explain this question. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 14. Aisha had three empty containers P, Q, and R. She poured an equal amount of water in each of them. After that, half of P was filled with water, one quarter of Q was filled with water, and two-thirds of R was filled with water. What is the ratio of the capacity of container P to container Q to container R? Okay, so this is what we call the equal fraction concept. So if you want to find out more, you can go to easy1.sg/blog. Okay, so let's explain this. So what's the equal fraction concept? Basically, step one, we need to find the equal fractions. So in this case, I think it's pretty straightforward if you know how to do the question using the equal fraction concept. First is you have a bunch of fractions, and we are told that this bunch of fractions are equal. So that means half of P was filled, one quarter of Q was filled, and two-thirds of R was filled. So the equal fractions are half of P is equal to one quarter of Q equal to two-thirds of R. Okay, step two, then we need to find the lowest common multiple from all the fractions numerators. So in this case, what's the lowest common multiple for? Luckily, it's pretty straightforward. We only have one and two. So the lowest common multiple of one and two is two. So then step three, convert the fractions to the lowest. Convert the numerate fractions to the same numerators with lowest common multiple, right? And that means from this 1, 2, and 3, it will become 2 over 4 P equal to 2 over 8 Q equal to 2 third R. Okay, so now we know this. The last step, step 4, convert fractions to units. So P basically has a P total is equal to 4. Okay, so basically how we convert fractions to units. So denominators denominators are the total, and in this case the capacity. Okay, so P total capacity, since we're the fraction two quarter, right? So 4 is the capacity. So total capacity is 4. So Q total capacity is 8, and R total capacity is 3. So what's the ratio for the capacity of P, Q, and R? So P is to Q is to R is 4 is to 8 is to 3. So the answer to this question is 4 is to 8 is to 3. There you go. That's the answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 15. Mr. Wong used 3/7 of his money to buy 6 apples and 10 pears. The cost of 3 apples was the same as 2 pears. What was the most number of pears that Mr. Wong could buy with the money he had left? All right, so we can use simultaneous equation. You can read more about it at easy1.sg/blog. So why we use simultaneous equation is because we see this kind of question. 3 apples is the same as 2 pears. So two different items, is the same but different quantities, right? So let's A be apples and let's P be pears. So in this case, we know that 3A is equal to 2 pears. So since we know that Mr. Wong bought 6 apples and 10 pears. So that means 6 apples. So what we can do is we can use pairs, all right? So 3 apples is 2 pairs. So 6 apples is equal to 2 times 2 equal to 4 pairs. Or the simplest way is 6 divided by 3 times 2, which is 4 pairs. Okay, so that means 4, which is the same as 4 pairs plus 10 pairs. Pairs equal to 14 pairs, right? We got 4 pairs. Okay, so now what was the. All right, so now we know that 3 out of 7th money is 14 pairs. So what is left with is 4 out of 7. So we also need to know how much is left, right? So left money left is equal to 1 minus 3 out of 7 is equal to 4 out of 7. Okay. So 3/7 of the money he have is 14 pairs in this case over here. So we know that it should be more than 14 pairs. So we have 4 out of 7 pairs. Okay, so 1 out of 7 money is equal to 14 divided by 3. Okay, so this one you can call it 14 divided by 3. It's sadly there's a remainder which is 4 remainder 2. 4 times 3 is 12, remainder 2. Correct. 4 remainder 2. So what about 4 out of 7 money is equal to 4 times 4 remainder 2, which is equal to 16, which is the same as 4. Okay, so scratch the 4 remainder 2 part because in essence it's basically 4 point 6. If you continue, it will be like this, right? So sadly, we have to round down, so it will be 4 pairs. Okay, so in this case over here, 4/7 money is basically 14 pairs, right? And pairs, okay, plus 4 pairs, right? And this case will be 18 pairs. So for this question, 4/7 is 18 pairs. Okay, there you go. So that's the answer. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Question 16, write 10,012 in numerals. So 10,000 is equal to 10, 1, 2, 3 zeros, 10,000. What about 12? 12 is just 12. So it's as simple as 10,000 plus 12 equal to 10,000, 0, 1, 2. There you go. So that's the answer. 10,012. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Question 17. Find the value of 1/6 plus 2 over 9. So in this case over here, 1. So let's find the lowest common multiple of 6 and 9, which is equal to 18. So 1 over 6 plus 2 over 9. Those common multiple of 6 and 9, the denominators, right? Denominators. Yes. Okay, so 1 over 6 plus 2 over 9 is equal to 3 over 18 plus 4 over 18, which is equal to 7 out of 18. Double go. So that's the answer, 7 out of 18. All right, let's move on to the next question. Find the value of 10.1 minus 7.43. So 10.1 minus 7.43. So usually what I like to do is to put the whole decimal places, right? So this is actually equal to 10 plus 0.10 minus, right, this whole thing. So 10, 10. Actually, we can just do the workings. All right. I thought 10 is bigger than 4, 3, but it's sadly I have to. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do some workings. Let me draw the workings for you. Okay, so this is the workings. It will look something like this. So you have 10, 10 minus 7.43. So for 0, you need to get 1 from 1. So you need to cancel 1 to become 0. Then 10 minus 3 is 7, which is correct. Okay, so 0 minus 4, we cannot minus, so we need to get a 1 from 10. So you cancel 10, it becomes 9. You get a 1, so 10 minus 4 is 6. And then 9 minus 7 is 2. There you go. So the answer to this question is 2.67. Okay, there you go. So that's the answer, 2.67. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question number 19. Find the value of 6 divided by 2 over 5. Okay, so for this case over here, I'm just going to put here divided by 2 over 5. So we need to convert it into fractions. So 6 over 1 divided by 2 over 5. So then we just flip the divide. Okay, so 6.1, and then we multiply this and we flip this into 5 over 2. So that will be equal to 6 times 5 over 1 times 2. So I'm just going to put the bracket so it's easier to see, visualize as well. Okay, so from here, 6 times 5 is 30. And then we have over 2. And this will become 15 in this case over here. There you go. So that's the answer, 15. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 20. Question 20. Find the value of 0.27 times 30. So 0.27 times 30 is the same as 0.27 times 10 times 3. Okay. And from here, we can just put 2.7 times 3. Okay. And then um, you can do your workings, right? So I can just put 2.7 plus 2.7, right? Oops. I should just copy and paste this, right? And plus 2.7. Okay. So this will be 5.4 plus 2.7. This will become 8.1. There you go. So that's the answer. Yep, correct. 8.1. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 21. Write down the common multiple of 6 and 10 that is smaller than 50. So for common multiple of 6 and 10, basically they want the lowest common multiple. So you might be like 6 times 10 equal to 60, but this is bigger than 50. So this is ring. Okay. So what about 3 times 10, which is 30, which is smaller than 50, which is correct. Okay, so we can double check. Okay, 30 divided by 6 equal to 5. Okay, which is tick. And then 30 divided by 10, which is 3, which is also another tick. There you go. So that's the answer. Answer is 30. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 22. Measure and write down the length of AB. So let me get my handy dandy ruler. All right, so I have my handy dandy ruler. So you can put a notch so that at least the notch is just a one straight line like this. Okay, same goes to okay, I'm just going to draw another notch over here. Okay, so now using your ruler, you can now align the line over here. So this is 8 and then one line before 9, right? 9. So the answer should be 8.9 centimeters. There you go. So 8.9 centimeters. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 23. The figure is made out of two rectangles, ABEF and BCDE. AF is 4 centimeters and FE is equal to Y centimeters. And the area of BCDE is 6 plus 5y centimeter square. Find the area of ACDF in terms of y. Give your answer in the simplest form. Okay, so in this case, ABEF is equal to 4 times y equal to 4y centimeter square. Okay, so total area is equal to 4y plus bracket 6 plus 5y. Whoop, whoop. And this is equal to 6 plus 9y centimeter square. That's it. There you go. So that's the answer. 6 plus 9y. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 24. It takes 100 minutes to fill a tank. What fraction of the tank will be filled in 1 hour? Give your answer in the simplest form. Okay, so we know that 100% is equal to 100 minutes. Wow. So how many percent is 1 hour? Okay, so 100 minutes is equal to 100%. Okay, what? So 1 hour? 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So 60 minutes is equal to 60%. Okay, and 60% is equal to 60 out of 100, which is equal to 6 out of 10, which is equal to 3 out of 5. There you go. So that's the answer, 3 out of 5. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 25. The volume of the cube is 27 centimeter cube. Find the parameter of one face of the cube. All right, so sadly we don't have the calculator, but we know that length cube is where all sides are the same. So sides meaning length, breadth, and height are the same. So that means 1 times 1 times 1 equal to 1. 2 times 2 times 2 equal to 8. And then 3 times 3 times 3 equal to not 9, 27. Okay, so that means one side is 27 3 centimeters. Okay, so what's the face parameter of the face of the cube, which is the bold thing? So the parameter is equal to 4 sides. It's equal to 4 sides. Okay, so 4 sides is equal to 4 times 3, which is 12 centimeters. There you go. So that's the answer, 12 centimeters. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 26. Find the value of 2 divided by 7. Give your answer correct to 2 decimal place. Okay, so let's do the workings for 2 divided by 7. All right, so we have here 2 divided by 7. So what we can do is we can minus first. So what minus? We minus 14 or 1.4. So because we cannot have 2 divided by 7, right? So we need to put a 0, which is the decimal place. So that means it will be 0.2. Okay, so 1.4. Now this will be 6, right? Then we can put 0 as well. 60. So what is closest to 60 from 7? Should be minus 56. Right? So this is minus 56. So what's 56? Is 8. Okay, actually I will just put it like this. Okay, put 8 over here. 0.28. Do we stop there? It says correct to 2 decimal places. So we need to go to 3 decimal places. So from here, let's put it there. For 60 minus 56, this will be equal to 4. All right. And now we just put 40. We minus. What's the closest to 40? Not 56. 40 should be 35, which is 5 over here. All right. And then we can stop here because, yeah, right? So we stop here. So in this case, we can put here 2 divided by 7 is equal to 0.285 dot dot dot, and we can put the curly bracket 0 point. Since 5 is more than 5, yeah, 5 is what we can round up, then will be 29. So the answer to this question is 0.29. There you go. All right, question 27. ABCD is a parallelogram. AED and BFC are straight lines. DEF is 108 degrees and BFA is a right angle. Find AFE, which is this over here. All right. Okay, so in this case, we know on 108, since it's a parallelogram, everything is parallel for ABCD. So in this case, do we see something over here? So in order for us to get this angle, which is the angle that we're looking for, right? We also need to find this angle as well. So let me just put purple. And at the same time, we also know that this parallelogram has straight lines. So that means this whole thing over here, one big whole thing is equal to 180 degrees, right? So if we can get the purple angle, not the purple, blue angle, then we can have 180 minus the blue angle minus this right angle 90 together, red one. And since this EFCD, there's two lines that are parallel, that means this is a trapezium, right? Since ED is parallel to FC, EF CD is a trapezium. So that means angle EFC is equal to 180 minus 108, and this will equal to 72 degrees. So now we know that this blue color thing over here is 72 degrees. Then we can find the angle AFE, which is equal to 180 minus 72, right? Minus 90. So we know 180 minus 72 is basically the same, 108 minus 90. And this will be equal to, so let me just put it down here. It's equal to 18, not 18, 18 degrees. Okay, there we go. So that's the answer for this question, 18 degrees. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 28. A box contains red, blue, and yellow beads. One quarter of the beads are red, 2/9 of the remaining beads are blue. What fraction of the beads in the box are yellow? All right, so you might be thinking, oh, simple 1 minus 1 quarter minus 2/9, right? And that's the answer. No, no, no. If we are at the question that is very big, it's not. Right, so this is a remainder concept, right? Because we see the word remaining. Okay, so what we can do is let's draw it out. Okay, so we know that we have beads, okay, and then these beads over here, we have one quarter of them are red. Oops, let me just connect this both. Let me zoom this in as well so you guys can see. All right, so the beads over here, these are red color. So red, and what's the fraction? One quarter. So now you see the word remaining. So that means there is a remaining. So what is the remaining fraction? Is it one quarter? No, it's 1 minus 1 quarter, which is equal to 3 quarter in this case over here. So this is 3 quarters. Okay, 3 quarter. Right, so we have this branched out to the remaining. So it says 2/9 of the remaining. So we need to branch out from the remaining. Branch out, burp, burp. And we need to branch out the blue. Oops. So we'll say over here, we're gonna blue the blue. So what is the fractions for blue? Blue is 2/9, right? 2/9 is blue. No, no, two. Yes. What about the yellow? So the yellow is the remaining. No, remaining. Sorry, remove that. So let me branch out again. So from the remaining, what is the yellow? So yellow is what fraction, right? So in this case, uh, what is the yellow from remaining? Which is basically 1 minus 2/9. is equal to 7 out of 9. Okay, so yellow from the remaining or of remaining, right, is equal to 7 over 9. So if you know the remainder concept that you can read in our blog, easy1.sg forward slash a, yeah, easy1.sg forward slash blog, then you should be familiar with this kind of question. So now, what is the fraction of yellow? So yellow of total is basically 7 over 9 times 3 quarter. Okay, so whenever you do branch out, this yellow fraction is not the actual fraction. You need to, if you see the branch out, you need to multiply. So in this case, right, you need to multiply these two fractions. Okay, so 7 over 9 times 3 out of 4. So we can cancel out. So it's 7 out of 3 times 1 out of 4. And this will be 7 out of 12. So that's the answer. 7 out of 12. There you go. Right, second last question. Question 29. Two numbers added to 415. If one of them is a 2-digit number and the other is a 3-digit number, what is the smallest possible difference between the two numbers? Okay, so smallest possible difference is where, in this case, we have almost, okay, because we have 2-digit and the other is 3-digit. So smallest difference is to have the biggest 2-digit minus the smallest 3-digit. Okay, so the biggest 2-digit in this case is 99. Okay, because we cannot go 200, right? So from here, what is the smallest 3-digit? So 41. So smallest 3-digit is equal to 415 minus 99, which is basically 315 plus 1. So 415. Let me just show you. 415 minus 99 is the same as 415 minus 100 minus 1, which is the same as 100 but plus 1. Okay, you have to be careful on this. So 415 is 315 plus 1, which is equal to 316. Okay, so smallest 3-digit is 316. So now, what is the smallest possible difference? So we just minus again, right? So 316. So smallest possible difference is equal to 3, not biggest 2-digit, smallest 3-digit minus biggest 2-digit. Okay, so that means 316 minus 99 again. Same thing. 316 minus 100 plus 1, which is equal to 216 plus 1, which is 217. There you go. So that's the answer. Smallest possible difference is 217. All right. Okay, question 30. 4 classes A, B, C, and D raised money for charity. Classes A and B raised a total of $108. Together, class B, C, and D raised a total of $180. The total amount of money raised by all 4 classes is 5 times the amount of that class B raised. How much money did class B raise? Okay, so we can use simultaneous equation. If you want to know more about this, you can go to easy1.sg forward slash blog to find out more on how to learn and solve this kind of question. So using this, pretty straightforward. We have A plus B equal to $108. And then we have B plus C plus D is equal to $180. Okay. So the total amount of money raised by all 4 classes is 5 times the amount of class B raised. So 4 classes is A plus B plus C plus D is equal to 5 times the amount. So 5 B. Okay. So with that said, we can actually add A plus B plus C plus D. So this, okay. So I want to just put this whole thing as brackets first. A plus B bracket plus B plus C plus D. Then we put a bracket. Okay. So in this case, A plus B is equal to present. This is 108 plus 180. I'm going to just put like this. All right. So this would then be equal to A plus B plus B is equal to 2B plus C plus D. And for this one will be 108 plus 180 is $288. Okay. So now we also know that A, B, C, D is 5B. So what we can do is we can actually move this into something like this. Okay, A plus B plus C plus D, this whole thing, bracket, can swap A plus C plus C blah, 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 plus D plus B. Right? It's the same, right? Because we have 2B. Okay. And then we swap A, B, C, D. So let's do this. So this is equation 1, which is this. Right? So it's easier to see and understand. Okay, equation 2 and equation 3. So let's, now I'm going to write down, right? Let's add equation 1 and equation 2 together. Okay, let's add equation 1 and equation 2. And yeah, and we look something like this, right? Equation 1, equation 2. Okay, BCD. Okay, then let's separate. Okay, so actually we don't need to do this. So we actually just put A plus B plus C plus D, right? Something like this. We just add everything up. Okay, so now we can swap. Then it will be like this, right? If you did it, okay, so swap equation 3 in, right? And then this will then become 5B plus B equal to 288. Sorry, this is a plus. Okay, $288. That's my dollar sign. So 5B plus B is equal to 6B. So 1B is equal to 288 divided by 6. Right? So what's 288 divided by 6? I have to use my calculation. So essentially is 300 minus 12, which is 48. In this case over here. Oh, there you go. So the answer is $48. Right? So $48.